Be comfortable enough and confident enough in what you're doing that you do not mind giving somebody else their flowers when they whoop your ass. Be okay with that. Some of y'all just listen. If you and I are neck and neck, because honestly, you're not the best. You can't call yourself the best until you beat the best.
Well, darling, there's only one God. Darling, there's only...
Welcome to the Dirty Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Cookie. And as always, thank you for tapping in with your girl. You could be anywhere, listening to anybody, but you're here with me. But apparently, y'all, they have opened up the nominations for the Best of Black Dallas Awards a little bit early this year. Now, as we all know, I am the 2023 first time, because ain't nothing like being the first, Best of Black Dallas winner for the Best Podcast category. So if it's in your spirit, if you feel led, you can go to the Dallas Weekly website. Once again, go under the category of local favorites and write us in as Best Podcast. And if you are coming for my throat this year and you want to take the crown, maybe I welcome it. But make sure we collabing at the same time, because a lot of y'all last year, you DM'd me afterwards asking me how to get involved in all of that stuff. And it was a little weird because you was asking me basically how to take my spot as opposed to congratulations. How can we work together? How can we trade tips? So I just had to get that off my chest. I see y'all. And may the best person win. But this year, I'm definitely focused more on growth, y'all. Accolades are cool and all, but it's ultimately about impacting the people. And as long as y'all still laughing, crying, self-correcting, and cut up, I've done my job. So now that we got that out the way, today's episode, I decided to take a poll because every once in a while, I like to tap in and see what it is y'all want to hear from me. Sometimes something might be sitting on your spirit. You like, Cookie, why didn't she discuss this? Why didn't she discuss that? We want her to spin the block on this. So today, I'm going to first of all shout out one of my faves right now. She is what I call a podcast cousin. Met her a year ago at the first podcast summit in Miami. This girl dropped a bag, y'all, on a celebrity vegan chef to do a presentation in her hotel room to feed all these random podcasters. So the good sis Jovonnie, our healthy habits and lifestyle coach, the host of Forward Vibrations podcast. I need y'all to tap into her. This one is for you. So let me make sure I got your question right. Let me make sure. It was to discuss what it takes mentally, emotionally, and physically to go all in on your goals. Let's talk about it. First of all, in this field, in this industry, whatever you want to call it, it's a lot to really just give your all to creating a podcast. Number one, it's a thankless thing. I know that we're in the era of everybody trying to hop into it to get a bag, make money, find sponsorship and all of that. I'm going to just start by saying, do it because you are a real truth teller or you're somebody that holds space for truth tellers. You come in with an area of expertise or wisdom. Let's discuss your why before you even come into this, because some of y'all, I'm not going to hold you. This ain't for you. And that's no shade, no tea. But sometimes we want to ride a wave of something that is just simply not our call. And it takes a lot to be a great interviewer. I'm still trying to learn how to be one myself. It takes a lot to listen. It takes a lot to really just care about other folks' stories. So but since she is a podcaster, so we're going to speak relative to that situation. The first thing is you're going to be alone for a while in this. You just are. I tell the same story all the time. I moved to Dallas during the lockdown 2020 with my daughter, who was just a few weeks shy of her first birthday. So I'm still going through postpartum. I'm weaning her off breastfeeding. Place ain't even unpacked. Me and a cheap $30 microphone and a broke down laptop like, hey, I'm about to do this. And my homegirl that was going to edit the podcast for me, I want to say a few days before I launched, or a week before, was like, hey, love you, love what you're trying to do, but I got to focus on my goals. So I'm not going to be able to do this for you. So I literally had to jump into the world of editing, something I said I would never do. So going all in on your goals means learning how to do some things that you're uncomfortable with, because sometimes you're going to be a one-woman man band. You got to be prepared for the fact that sometimes people that you start with might jump ship or not. They just got their own goals. And by the way, that friend won her first Oscar this past year. She moved to LA. So she's one of my top downloaded episodes. So, shout out to Cherie, but she is the reason that I had to jump head first into really just sinking my teeth into this thing. So that's going to be one thing, is know that you're going to have to get a little elbow grease, get in the trenches for your stuff. Also, not comparing yourself to everybody. My God. I was telling another podcaster a couple of weeks ago that I feel like my content was a lot more raw. It was some of my best content when I started out. Granted, we didn't have all the lights, the cameras, there was no visuals, but it was that grit. It was the authenticity, because I wasn't looking at what everybody else was doing. Because I wasn't looking at everybody else's plate, I was able to focus on the message that I wanted to put out, how I wanted to brand myself, really letting y'all get to know Cookie and not a chopped and screwed version of what I saw around me. I wasn't following that many podcasters, thank God. But now I see a difference. If you're looking at other platforms or what somebody else is doing for so long, no matter what it is you do, eventually you're going to start to mimic them. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm going to say that when you first starting out, it's just good to find your own voice and block out all the distractions. And that might mean just being with yourself and that camera or your paintbrush or your curling, whatever it is you do. Focus on the ingredients of your meal for a while before you start looking at everybody else's menu. Because comparing yourself to people will have you given up because you don't think you're doing it right, even though you are at your day 1 and they're at their day 1,000. So that is huge. Stop looking at what everybody else is doing while you're trying to figure it out. You're going to have to make some sacrifices, and they're going to be very uncomfortable. If you walking in what it is you're supposed to do, you're going to have some lonely seasons, and you might have to give up what's comfortable. What's comfortable for me was 9 to 5, making some real good money where I could go and splurge on $100 brunches and all of that, paying other folks tabs, buying folks shots, tipping the waitress stuff, money that I ain't got no business spend. I did that for a while, early season 2. And to be honest, it was getting in the way of me doing my thing. So you might have to give up some things. And if you don't give it up, the universe has a way of snatching it from you to see if you about what you really about. Sometimes we will lose things that we're really comfortable with to see if we're going to keep going. So if you get into a situation where you don't have money for studio time, if you are somebody that has a visual episode, are you going to walk away from it, or are you going to learn how to build relationships where you can barter? That's huge. You might have to do that. Are you going to work a little bit harder to figure out a way to pay to be in the room, to pay for coaching? These are things you got to think about. So financially, you going to make some sacrifices, because you have to invest in what you're doing. And investing in what you're doing means spending less money on the things that you're comfortable with. You're going to have some broke ass seasons. You're going to have some broke seasons. I think we be staring at these coaches, everybody selling these ebooks, these business courses, and they pulling up in these Ferraris and showing off their houses, or sometimes showing off the Airbnbs they rented. I'm not going to say nobody's name, but there was a certain podcaster that did a pop-up, and they admitted that some of the suits they wear, like some of the stuff that they wear, they returned it after they done recording. So a lot of y'all be out here comparing yourself to folks that have rented lifestyles. And ain't nothing wrong with a rented lifestyle. Do what you got to do, get it how you live, but it's important for other folks to know that everything that you see, it ain't real all the time. Some people are really borrowing. Some people capping. It's a whole lot of cap on these apps. So that's another reason you need to keep your eyes on your own paper. But yes, the financial, you're going to have to make some risk. If your setup, if what you got going on is not up to par for where you're trying to go, you're going to have to invest the money. I have never in my life been laid off from a job. I'm the person that gets promoted. I'm the person that leaves to find a better opportunity. That's who I've always been. I've always had a certain role. I've never, for the most part, I never stayed with a company less than 5 years. Like 5 years is my average. So to go from that and being in a situation where like, damn, I'm tapping into my savings now. Every dollar got to have an assignment. To be in that situation and still say Dirty Bag is going to move forward. I'm still going to have this platform. I'm still going to invest in, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to invest in myself in this platform, as opposed to, well, I guess I got to get this up and figure out XYZ. No, you're going to have them tough seasons to see if you about what you say you about. So hold on. Missing a point on it. Okay, so emotionally, and that ties in. Sometimes you have days where you like, I don't even know if what I'm doing is worth it. Like, what am I really going to do with this? What are my goals with this? I am broke right now. Ain't nobody liking my post. Ain't nobody sharing my post. The downloads ain't downloading. This is taking a lot. Like, I could be outside enjoying myself. I could be doing something else. Emotionally, you're going to have some days where you question everything you're doing and if it's worth it. But if we look at some of our faves, a lot of them have stories where they lost relationships or it seemed like every great creative or something at some point was homeless. Like, everybody got to be homeless. I ain't saying you got to get to that point. But it was a lot of homeless people out here chasing their dreams. And I think, though not necessarily to that extreme, but I think sometimes that's the price you pay for the life you're trying to get to. You can't skip the hard seasons. Somebody told me that, and it's been sketched into my brain every day. You cannot skip the hard seasons, and also you can't determine how long these hard seasons gonna last. I got laid off from a job where I made good money, and I made the company good money. We talking millions. Okay? So for somebody like me, you would freak out. Like, what the hell? I'm about to start doing, this is what I'm doing now. When I used to do this, when my first dirty bag brunch, I stopped at Nordstrom's and bought a pair of red bottoms because I wanted to flex on everybody. I was giving away $100 gift cards. And my first, it was a damn brunch. It was a brunch for me getting a Dallas Voyage feature. What? I spent like $2,000 to have an event to feed a bunch of people for free. Did not charge nothing. The tickets were free. So I wouldn't do that again. But I'm just saying, like, to go from this point to that point, it's going to take some grit. But what I will say is this. I never wavered during those really dark times, and a way was always made for me. Let me say it again. A way was always made for me. I feel like I'm a testimony that when you stay true to what it is you're supposed to do, doors going to open. Things are going to fall into place. It's going to be uncomfortable. And the thing is, it may not come the way you want it to. I think a lot of us want a certain lifestyle. We want freedom to create, but we don't understand that it ain't going to come the way you want it. You ain't going to have the freedom to create, but just money that you can just waste on a bunch of BS. You ain't going to be able to just go on trips all the time when you are early in your walk with your purpose. You're going to have to stay your butt in the house sometimes. Some of us we want things to happen for us, but we also want to be in the streets all the time. It's not going to work that way, and at least not at first. So I'm going to say, when you are in those hard seasons, just stay tapped in. It's going to work out. I promise it's going to work out. Even on the rough days. And I also do that. I give thanks on the days where things seem really dark because I get it now. 5 years ago, I probably would have just slid down the wall in my bad wig crying and shit because I don't know what the hell I'm about to do. But now it's laughable. I was telling somebody a couple of months back, I'm like, you know what? We're going to laugh at this one day. We're going to laugh at this whole season. We're going to look back and appreciate these times. So emotionally, it does take a toll, but you also have to be tapped into people that respect what you're doing, that truly support you and truly want to pour into you. The catch-22 on that is you have to be mindful of who you're speaking to. Because sometimes when you're in that early creative stage, there are some people that don't want to see you do well. Because you've outgrown the box they put you in. They might love for you to call them being distraught over not knowing what your next step's going to be or how you're going to pay this bill or whether or not you should give up. So be really mindful of who you talk to when you are in the hard space of being a creator, when you in that low season. You can't talk to everybody about that. Get you a trusted few, and it might just be one person. It might just be one person. But yeah, I've learned that lesson the hard way. So when everybody call you, you don't always have to tell them the struggles of what's going on with you building your business. Sometimes just a quick, you know what? I'm in a season I'm meant to be in. We all right. I'm thugging. I'm in these trenches. That's all you need to know is I'm thugging and I'm in these trenches, but we okay. And it's really hard to find genuine people these days. Because I mean, as a creative, You wondering when you meet folks, do you really rock with me, or are you trying to attach yourself to what I got going on? Or are you here to keep an eye on me because you think I'm a threat? Or are you just trying to keep an eye on me because it's so many things that come into play when you're trying to build relationships with fellow creatives. I had some weird energy with somebody recently, and y'all know me, I'm really big on energy. I'm super big on, if my gut is telling me I need to keep an eye on you, or my gut's telling me to call it out, I'm going to do it. I told somebody recently, I'm like, look, this is how it works over here. We are either collaborating and supporting each other, lifting each other up, or we competing. Those are literally the two options. If we're not lifting each other up, speaking a word over each other, a word of encouragement, a word of wisdom, if we not celebrating each other, why are you here? Some of y'all got them monitoring people, them little lurkers, them other fellow lurker creatives. I'm cool with removing folks. Get comfortable with removing folks that make you feel like you ain't who you are, or they're trying to humble you. I don't play that shit. We do not play that around here. We do not try to humble other creatives. What we are okay with is giving folks their flowers. We saw this with the Olympics, with Simone Biles and the young lady that ate her up on the balance beam at the end. She bowed down. Like it was a joke, but they bowed down. Like, hey, you the queen right now. Be comfortable enough and confident enough in what you're doing that you do not mind giving somebody else their flowers when they whoop your ass. Be okay with that. Some of y'all just, listen, if you and I are neck and neck, because honestly, you're not the best. You can't call yourself the best until you beat the best. If you beat out a bunch of mediocre people, if you surrounded by a bunch of people that ain't at your level yet, and you puffing your chest out, baby, you ain't done nothing yet. It's like a high schooler making fun of a fifth grader, competing with a little kid. No, line yourself up with the best and beat the best, and then you can do all that extra stuff. But Simone Biles, in an interview, she said she was tired of competing against her. She getting too close. She makes her uncomfortable. She recognized that this girl got her foot on my neck, and every time she step in the ring, every time she come to the vault, the beam, the floor exercise, I got to step my A game up. Be comfortable with acknowledging the fact that somebody got their foot on your neck. They are pressure. And I feel like the blessings come with that. I can compete with you and still love what you do and still respect you. And I think if we build community better that way, when we can admit that. Folks ain't a threat to you. They're here to make you better. So be okay with a little friendly competition, but keep it respectful. And watch your motives. Especially when you come around me, watch your motives. I will block your ass. So I would say that when you know people don't have your best interest at heart, as a fellow creative, you don't have to keep them around. There is no requirement. I know some folks would say, as a politics or a community, you can't remove people or unfollow people and delete people. That is some bullshit. If you ain't helping keep my lights on, if you're not sending resources my way and vice versa, we can part ways. Because I think that when you don't have folks' best interest at heart, the more you follow them, the more you watch them, eventually you're going to get irritated and you're going to tell on yourself. Now we went from we ain't in alignment to we got beef. Because you play in the face of the wrong one, you might get hemmed up. You might get yoked up. I'm sorry, y'all. I done went a little off the grid on that one. But the thing about Jovonnie, JoJo, is that I'm giving you your flowers. I feel like you are such a sweet spirit in the way you genuinely try to build community. You take direction, even if it seems like it's annoying. You take constructive criticism. You really want folks to win. You really care about us being healthy and taking care of our inside and living the best life we can. And I personally feel like we need folks like you and forward vibrations. We need more of you, not just in the podcast space, but just in the world. People that really care about our well-being. When I first touched down in Atlanta, y'all, I wasn't there for an hour. JoJo had us sitting around trying some damn 15, 20 layered salad. I don't even know what it is. We in Atlanta. So my first thought is like strip club, chicken wings, some waffles, some spot with some grass walls. But JoJo is just that type of person. Like, she really wants us to live our best lives, be around as long as we can, and just truly like convene. So I'm personally excited for what we're going to do in the future. I know the next time I do a live show, please believe JoJo going to be in that thing. So I'm just letting y'all know right now. And something I had to learn speaking of live shows and talking about putting your all into everything. I'll say it once and I say it again. Keep the right energy around your visions. If something is your baby and you putting your blood, sweat, and tears into it, if people ain't right for the vision, remove them. And you can do it without apology, especially if you have to make adjustments and you tell people, not right now, I'm going to spin the block on you, and they show their true colors and they're no longer communicating with you. That right there lets you know, baby, you ain't gang. You was never meant to be gang. And you know who you are. So one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go, okay, physically. What it takes physically to go all in on your goals. And I'm going to just say this, y'all. Obviously, my back went from like big to medium big because I was really focused to colossal again because I went to the damn running club, as I told y'all, and I got injured. So what does my dumb ass do? I go from losing a doggone 7 pounds. I'm pretty sure I can gain it back and then some because I done sat down and start eating bread again. So I do think that when you are going all in on your goals, you got to take care of your body. You have to, because as a creative, I don't know if y'all go through this, but some nights I cannot sleep. I can't sleep. My wheels are turning. I'm a Gemini. We got like 40 tabs open anyways. That's just how we operate. When you can't sleep and you got ideas and you jotting them down, like you don't need to eat a cheeseburger. You don't need to run a McDonald's. You don't need a shake. You don't need a McFlurry, even though the ice cream machine at McDonald's is still broke 90% of the time, which makes no sense to me. But you have to eat and take care of your body for you to be in the mood to do stuff. If you can set up and ate a McDouble, some fries, a whole bunch of other bullshit, and you sit down and record, you're probably going to be sleepy. So you absolutely got to get your energy up. And JoJo, since you so doggone healthy, you are literally the healthy habits and lifestyle coach. You ain't got to worry about that. But ultimately, all I'm going to say is everything's going to be all right if you stay the course. And someone said, there's no such thing as a bad idea or a good idea. There are people that execute. So if you know you're executing and you're being consistent, regardless of how it looks around you, your time is your time. Honestly, y'all, I started going live in 2014. I started doing Instagram stories the minute it came out. And that was like, what we talking? 2017 to 2020 before I finally made a logo for this thing. So I've been putting out content for a long time. I just didn't consider it content. It was just me giving my thoughts. And look at us now. So stick with it. It's going to be rough. It's going to be highs and lows. But just if you know what you call to do, do it. And keep good people around you. Don't be afraid to make adjustments when somebody is just not going to be the right member on your team. Oh, folks still getting COVID out here, by the way. So thank you guys for tapping in with me today. Whatever we got going on, wear your mask, wash your hands, socially distance. And when you get a free moment, please remember to clean out your dirty bag. Till next time.